Suicide is the act of intentionally taking one's life.
Suicide. Well, I think suicide, first of all, is the symptom of a deeper disease, which is depression. But I'm sure everyone would agree with me that as human beings or as people, life is not a bed of roses.
When someone has been depressed and pushed to an edge, and there are two factors here: the person has not found help, or the person has sought help and has not found the help he needs.
The first and most common reason why people commit suicide is depression. People are depressed, they're going through a lot of stuff, they're not stable mentally. Loneliness.
Wow, people commit suicide for a whole lot of reasons, but I think depression, one of them. Disorders like bipolar, multiple personality disorders, and all of that can also be attributed to suicide.
It starts from a person feeling very painful emotions, and then the truth is there's something very genetic about us. There's something very selfish about the human self. It's that we're naturally driven to self-preservation mode. We're very driven to basically very selfish reasons, you know, that we need to protect ourselves. So every time we feel pain, we need to find a way not to feel pain again. And so what we start doing is we try to create a wall, we try to build a wall to protect ourselves from feeling for that pain. And in building a wall, what you're doing is you're introducing separation from people, from society, and it starts very subtly. You don't notice it, but it grows on you. And from separation, you start to listen to certain voices in your head that on normal days you wouldn't listen to.
What happens is just that, where am I going to start from? I can't take this anymore, and the next thing is I want to just kill myself.
A very close friend of mine in university was very suicidal. Not very suicidal. He wasn't telling anyone his feelings, and he just kept it to himself until the last day, the day he wanted to commit suicide. He sent a text to people he loved also, you might not see me tomorrow. And I remember rushing to his room guy, how far? And he was and he broke down in tears, and he was telling me his feelings. He was having issues at home, issues with loneliness, and his brothers were not talking to him, and he felt alone.
It's something we who are never in the picture can never truly understand, but we can try to have an idea of what this goes through, because I've related with few people who have almost committed suicide, and if you study their processes, it always starts from there. It always starts from that place where we feel pain, we've been victimized, or we've been wounded, or we've been hurt in some way, and we allow that hurt to build and build and build until it gets to a point where we can't recover.
In that case, you make sure that the person is actively involved in activities that can take the person's mind off thinking so much. You make sure the person is actively going out, meeting people, and always have somebody around with the person as frequently as possible, because to be honest, suicidal signs are very, very, very easy to miss. In fact, I would say there are no signs. Sometimes you can even be playing with someone this minute, and the next second you just hear, oh, they jumped into the lagoon, or shot themselves in the head, or they hung themselves, and all of that. So I think the issue is just look out for one another and care for the next person around you, especially when you know that person is going through a very, very difficult phase in life at the time.
It's just the only way we can just one of the ways we can help people that commit and that have tendencies of committing suicide is by paying attention, loving people, love yourself, and love people.
So people need someone to listen to them. I think just listening to someone is very good, and obviously therapy. I would advise therapy.
God never promised us a smooth journey. It would ups and downs. That is how it was designed. The world was designed. So just feel, if you feel worse, there's somebody somewhere that you're even better than. There are a whole lot of people that you're better than. So having to resort to suicide is not the way out.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is Emotions with Omenesa, and thank you so much for watching today. This is a show where I pretty much talk to you about controlling your emotions so your emotions do not control you. Our topic today is on suicide. So I am going to calm down very, very well so that you can really get my gist today, because suicide is not a small thing at all. You know, it really annoyed me when some people used to tell me that Nigerians are not that cowardice. Nigerians are not weak. Nigerians don't think about suicide. God forbid. Nigerians don't even commit suicide at all. It is a sin. I would like for you to watch all through 30 minutes of this show, and you would find out that there is hope. Because you are talking or you're watching somebody, me, myself, I have attempted to kill myself 3 times. What is the root of suicide? The root of suicide is depression, is having your feelings being totally not acknowledged, is being dismissed, is being in a situation that has refused to change. You have tried your best to do everything that you can. You have placated, you have even compromised. You've gone like completely out of the norm, just trying to make sure that things change, and they don't change. And you know, and it's so funny how people say that suicide is for the weak. No, suicide is not for the weak. Suicide is for people who were not listened to, people who were ignored, people who were dismissed. Because before somebody commits suicide, there are so many signs already. They've already shown you that, hey, you need to listen to me. Now, when I was suicidal, it was a long time ago. I was a teenager. I had popped pills. I had done all kinds of crazy stuff, trying to die. I was so depressed. I was born with a spinal disease that had no cure. I was an only child, which the whole world thinks is absolutely amazing, but like mine put a lot of pressure on me. I was raised in a bishop's home where people were getting healed, people were getting saved, people were having all their needs met. My needs were being met, but let me say, the scenario of that type of profession made me always feel like I was competing. You know, I was always trying to be number one, like on my parents' list. And then that career choice of being a pastor or whatever puts a lot of pressure on your own children. So there I was trying to be perfect, and I couldn't be perfect. There I was trying to deal with puberty, dealing with low self-esteem, feeling that I wasn't pretty enough, feeling that I was ugly. Don't look down on those type of emotions. Those are real emotions. When I used to be a teacher, I remember how my dresses, one student would be crying and they're like in a pool of tears, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? And they're like, oh my God, I'm so scared of my exam. Or they would tell me how they don't have what they're going to wear for the end of year party. And this is actually a big problem for them, and I'm looking at them like there are bigger things in the world. Until I realized that, you know what, that is their reality. So your 5-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 15-year-old, even though, yes, of course you know more and you have lived more, but whatever they're facing at that age is their reality. So just as you, at this stage of your life, there are certain monsters that you are dealing with, they are also dealing with certain monsters. And those monsters are very alive and very well. And people kill themselves because nobody respects them. Or at least that's how they feel. And love is not what you say. Love is what you do. When I was at the brink of committing suicide, I actually bumped into this website that saved me a lot. It saved me. Well, I'm still here, so thank God. But basically, it said, suicide is not chosen. It happens. When pain exceeds resources for coping with pain. So people commit suicide when the pain has superseded their resources. They feel helpless. There's nothing else to do. They are jumping off a lagoon. They are looking for a knife. Like in Nigeria, they are drinking notapiapia. They are doing all kinds of things. And they are putting a rope on their neck. And then it just ticks me off when people even have the audacity to say that they wouldn't go for the funeral of that person because they killed themselves. Like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, do you know what it actually means when somebody really does kill themselves? It means that you and I were not there. That's just what it means. If someone succeeds in committing suicide, somebody was not there. And you can't judge because that's not your cross. So here are the points. Number one, you need to hear that people do get through this. People get through whatever you are going through. People do get through them because it's not everyone that kills themselves. I mean, if everyone killed themselves, then we wouldn't be here, right? And all of us do have problems. Even people who feel as badly as you are feeling right now, they get through it. Statistically, there is a very good chance that you are going to live. You are going to live. This is going to pass. So I hope that this information gives you some sense of hope. Because if you just wait a little while, oh, I like how Jacob used a stone for a pillow. No, this is not a religious show. But the good book talks about a man who used a stone for a pillow. When he found out, there's nothing else to do now, so let me just sleep on this pillow and sleep on this stone. Even if it is a stone, it can be used for a pillow. Regardless of what you are going through, you can use the little that you have to completely turn your life around. If you just stay the night. Sometimes all you need is an extra 24 hours. It's an extra 5 minutes. It's an extra 10 minutes. Or just go to sleep. Just go to bed. By the time you wake up, you will find out that the emotions that you had about that situation have really, really diminished big time. Number two, give yourself some distance. Say to yourself, so just like I was just telling you, say to yourself, I will wait 24 hours before I do anything. Or I would wait for a week. Or I would wait until that situation changes. Or I would give like some type of options to keep you going. Kind of trick your mind a bit. Remember that feelings and actions are two different things. Just because you feel like killing yourself doesn't mean that you actually have to do it right at this minute. And just because you feel like killing yourself does not mean that you want to die. Because the truth is that you are frustrated. And that's why you want to kill yourself. But also the truth is that you don't want to die. Because if you didn't have the situation to be frustrated at or about in the first place, then you would be happily living. So why don't we just focus on eliminating whatever is making us frustrated? I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. We've been talking about suicide. So I was giving 5 points, and those 5 points came out of a website that actually helped me when I was trying to kill myself. And I said that number one, you need to hear that people do get through this, meaning that people actually go through exactly what it is that you are going through, and they came out of it, and that's why they're still alive. So that means that you can come out of it. And then number two, wait for 24 hours. And when that 24 hours comes, wait for another 24, wait for 72, wait for 1 month. Okay, just wait a minute. Number three, people often turn to suicide because they are seeking relief from pain. Remember that relief is a feeling, and you have to be alive to feel it. So you have to be alive to kind of feel the relief. So you kind of have to stay here to get that problem solved. And the only reason why you're thinking about killing yourself is because you're frustrated. So why don't we just take care of the roots of the frustration rather than having to end everything? You will not feel the relief you so desperately seek if you're dead. Okay? You will not feel it. Number four, some people will react badly to your suicidal feelings, either because they are frightened or angry. They may actually increase your pain instead of helping you, despite their intentions, by saying or doing thoughtless things. You have to understand that their bad reactions are about their fears, not about you. I remember when I finally told a minister in my church that I was suicidal. This woman was so scared. Of course, to me as a child, I did not realize that she was scared because she's an adult. So how can an adult be scared, right? She went and she told my parents that I said I was suicidal. So one day when my dad had picked me up from church, I've forgotten what was happening, and I was still in high school and I was in the US, and he just like, he was so cold as he was driving me home. And when we got home, I was like, oh, Dad, you are so cold. And my dad and I, like, we talk about everything. But because he was a minister, and so, like, there was no way that I was going to tell him that I want to kill myself. After they have told you all these years that, see, if you bring a child into this house out of wedlock, just forget it. And, I mean, if something that small can cause trouble, then what will suicide cause? So, of course, I was not going to tell him anything. No. Only for him to say, oh, no, I'm not cold. I'm just getting used to you not being around. You know, and when he said that, I was like, what does that mean? And he said, oh, well, Pastor so-and-so told me that you want to kill yourself. So I'm getting used to you not being around. Now, that's what we call reverse psychology, right? But for a child who is determined to kill themselves, that was a terrible approach. But just as this point said, some people would do really, really terrible things, say horrible things, not because they don't care. It's actually because they care. It's out of fear. It's really out of fear, and they don't know what to do with it. And that is one of the peculiarities of being a minister. You know, bless my parents' hearts. They were ministers. Who do they go to say that their child, who is supposed to not have such emotions, like, what does that say about them? Because immediately, like, they'll start thinking that is about them. But the truth is, it's not about them. He didn't know how to handle that. And immediately, I looked for a rope, and I did attempt to kill myself on that night. Because to me, that statement was even worse than all I was going through. And it was a sign of rejection. I took it as rejection, but that's not what he was intending to do. He was not intending to make matters worse. I guess that he was disappointed. I guess that he was scared. He freaked out. He didn't know what to do. I mean, who does the healer really go to? Really, when you think about it. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of doctors are suicidal. A lot of pastors are suicidal. People who are in the position of actually giving hope are the ones who are suicidal, more suicidal. You can do your research. And then, number 5. Suicidal feelings are, in and out of themselves, traumatic. After they subdue, you need to continue caring for yourself therapy is a really good idea. Really, really good idea. So I'm going to put this phone down and I'm going to tell you how I got some therapy. I made sure that I had a mentor. I made sure that I had a counselor. And with all these people, I made sure that I was transparent. So you can't go to a shrink's office, to a psychiatrist's office, to a psychologist's office, to a pastor's office, to a rabbi's office, to an imam's office and be lying. And be telling them that, oh, everything is honky-dory. Well, I was just feeling bad the other time, but everything's fine now. No, he's not stupid. And he's also not going to shove healing into your throats. He's not going to do that. So the first thing for me was that I was transparent. I've always been a transparent person. I was transparent. I was like, I feel like killing myself. I feel alone. I remember that I used to actually, straight from school, I would actually climb up to the roof. We were living in, I think